There's one very simple technique that can bring your organic surface, I would argue, to another level. Here things look good, right? Things look tight, they look organic in nature. Different materials show pretty much the same result, everything nice and clean, and from distance it just packed with all kinds of things. The technique will improve even that, and I used it on pretty much everything, not just on the fleshy, abstract looking shapes. I use it on creatures, I use it on humanoids, I use it on human bodies. If I do some kind of anatomy work, I use it on trees, like literally everything, right? I can think of just countless of examples where I would use this technique. So the thing that I'm talking about is the inflate, and we can find it in deformation menu in the tool panel, right? So this is the inflate I'm talking about, and the same can be done locally, right, with just an inflate brush, but I usually use the deformation slider, because it just shows me everything. Well, it just shows me how this effect affects everything, and that's exactly what I wanted. If anything, I can always use the inflate brush if on specific local areas. But anyway, just let me demonstrate what I'm talking about. So this is the shape that we have, right? This is the asset that we have, and let's look at what's going to happen when we do this thing. So everything obviously gets inflated, right? But the thing about the inflate technique, and when we talk about organic shapes, is that it adds a layer of this amazing tightness that creates some kind of weight, right, to the surface. All of a sudden, the structure is not just some things. Well, it's not just the surface being positioned in such a way that it's too far away from another surface, if that makes any sense. Let me just allow me to explain what I mean. So I'm looking at this surface, right, those 2 points of the surface, and I look at the gap between them. This doesn't really look natural to me. It doesn't look fleshy, right? Because just the gap is just too much. The thing to do here is to either pinch it, right? Maybe move some, use some move brush, whatever. But if we use the inflate, like so, right, we minimize this gap, and this is looking more like a real flesh, right? This looks more like what we see on real bodies, right? So things down here, for example, just look how tight this wrinkle is, right? Just the feeling of gravity is there, the feeling of weight is there, the tightness of here, right? Let's see if we have something in the back. Yes, we do have something in the back. This kind of tightness, this is what I'm talking about, right? This fleshy beat against the pants, right? The pieces of clothing. So all of that can be achieved. Well, we can definitely sculpt it as is, right? But I personally find at least in my work, that I tend to not sculpt in that way right away, right? I still have to use this inflate technique, but it's just it's exactly for that, right? It just makes everything way more organic looking, way more tighter. There are no gaps, there's nothing like that. If those were muscles, the feeling that they're touching, right, the skin is just creates those folds, for example here, right? Just look how tight that is compared to what we had before, right? There's a gap in here, and the wrinkle is just lying without any reason for this wrinkle to be accumulated or just to appear, right? So with the inflate, this is just way more tighter. This just looks so much better. The issue with that, though, is that when we use the inflate deformation setting, right, the kind of slider in the deformation menu, some things will definitely get too inflated, and we can perhaps observe it somewhere here. So maybe things here just get too much inflated, and so before I do this, before I use this technique, I always store a either a morph target, right? So when I inflate something, if I need to. If you enjoy this content or find it useful, please consider supporting me by buying me a cup of coffee via the link in the description. If I need to undo the effect somewhere here, I would just manually come and clean it up like that, right? Not necessarily clean it up, but kind of reverse it back basically. And so like I said, the technique can be used anywhere. And so to demonstrate this perhaps on a more practical example, so that's the body, right? We can create the tightness with dam standard, and there is plenty of tightness as is, but look what happens when we use the inflate. So pay attention to this fold right here, right? And just those folds in here as well. Just look how much more organic this looks, right? Like I said, it just immediately adds a layer of weight to the surface. All of a sudden, this is not just a fold that is lying on the surface. This is a fold that is being produced by something that is pushing onto it, right? Same here from the sides. Maybe this is just too tight. Again, if we had a morph target, we can tone it down just a little bit. But in general, things in here, they look so much tighter, they look so much better. And if not the morph brush, we can always just come with a smooth brush. And if things are just too tight, right, we can always smooth it out just a little bit, and it still will look much better than the original result that we had. The obvious issue with this technique is that the whole surface just inflates, right? The whole model, the volume of the model just becomes bigger. So this is how bigger it gets, right? Like 2 centimeters bigger or something like that. So again, like I said, if we want to maintain the shape and we just want to use this on specific areas, we can either just use the inflate brush, and with the brush we can come in here and, well, not do that, but with a very tiny intensity, a small intensity like 1, right? It's barely noticeable, but it's there. We can do it this way, or we can use the slider, and then when the effect takes place, we can, with the morph brush, we can just tone it down or just remove it altogether from areas we don't want it to be on, right? So it's something that I would also encourage you to try if you have some kind of models lying on your computer, right? If you want to see what this will do to your models, if it's going to improve anything, and I would argue it will, just give it a try. And again, just look at the deltoid, right? Just look how tighter it is, right? The muscles, they become literally inflated, and they start to push onto each other, right? So the gaps between them become tighter, the volume just becomes bigger. Here things just look more natural, more organic. And yeah, for something like this, and like I said, it can be used for anything. I use it on trees and some other very not human like assets, right? So just going to have a look at what happened in here, right? So this is the tightness that we used to have. This is what it is now. Obviously, that's I would say this is too much, because this doesn't look like folds, but neither those things look like folds, right? There's just something off about it. So when I do this this technique afterwards, I would just come with a standard brush and do that, right? So now we get this this level of tightness, right? There's nothing between the folds. It just looks 100% organic. Really, really, really cool.